So, Teresa,
Yes.
tell us about this Ride for Life and who it benefits. What is it?
So Ride for Life is supporting Lovely Life, which helps women and children that are in a crisis pregnancy with support, housing programs, education, mentorship. And so all of the funds from the Ride for Life are going to go towards helping these women to get engaged in the housing, the programs, the education, and mentorship. And it's helping her, and it's helping her preborn child. And we know that bikers, because I'm a biker, we know that they love to ride for benefits, and especially to benefit women and children. So it's open to anybody that has 2 wheels, 3 wheels, 4 wheels. Sorry, you're going to have to do your own thing. Maybe you volunteer. But yeah, it is open to anybody and everybody that rides. And it's a low entry fee. You know, it's $20 per bike. And then if you have a passenger, it's $5. Yeah.
Now, where do they go to register?
So they'll go on to the Lovely Life, LOVLI life.org website. There is a pop-up there. There's a QR code. You go right to the QR code and you register. Now, if you're somebody who doesn't like to ride, but you want to support it because of who we're supporting, you can become a vendor or you can also sponsor. And there are different sponsorship opportunities as well.
And where does the ride start from?
So we're staging at Freedom Church in Bel Air, which is 1705 Conowingo Road. And kickstands, registration is at 10. Kickstands are up at 11. We're doing a scenic route, 2-hour round trip. We come back. There are going to be food trucks, music, time of fellowship, and just a good time.
All right. When you say a 2-hour ride, so it's not just Harford County. Was it like up in the PA?
We're likely, I have not gotten the official route from the road captain yet.
Okay.
Who is from CMA. But it's going to be going up to Cecil County and then back.
Okay, that's going to be a nice ride.
It is. And
God,
October
I still have my
3rd,
bike.
it should be enough, you know, that the weather is agreeable. And the rain date is going to be October 10th if for some reason it doesn't work out on the 3rd. So
those of you listening, you know what I'm going to say. Get the bike out. It's not, look, I mean, a lot of people do it in January. There's a big one in January that people do. So they can do this. October, it's the fall. It's going to be a beautiful ride.
Yep.
It's for a good cause. So get out there and support Lovely Life.
Yes, come on. Bring it on.
Coming to you from the Freedom Federal Credit Union Studios, Harford County Living presents Conversations with Rich Bennett.
Slow pitch or fast pitch?
It's probably the least sexy part of the work, and I don't
It's okay. No. It's
the truth is,
what if living a healthier life didn't require chasing every new fad, counting every calorie, or completely turning your world upside down? What if the biggest improvements came from understanding a few simple principles that anyone can put into practice? Today's guest believes that good health isn't meant to be confusing. And after spending nearly 35 years helping people take control of their well-being, he's made it his mission to prove just that. Dr. Bob McCauley is a certified nutritional consultant, certified master herbalist, naturopathic doctor, author of 8 books on natural health, and founder of the Watershed Wellness Center in Lansing, Michigan. Through his practical 7-component health protocol, he teaches that lasting health is built through everyday habits, not impossible expectations. And he shares straightforward tips that people can actually stick with. So whether you're looking to feel better, have more energy, or simply understand your body a little better, this conversation is going to be packed with insights that could change the way you think about health for years to come. But Dr. Bob, I got to ask you, do you go by Dr. Bob, Robert? Don't call me late for dinner.
Well, you know what, Dr. Bob?
Okay.
People call me, but Bob, and a lot of other names, a lot of other names.
Yeah, I'm the same way. All right, I want to get right into this because when we were in the green room, I mentioned how I'm finally eating healthier and doing a lot more healthier things, which cracks me up because in the Marine Corps, it's not a matter of health. It's more fitness than anything because we did not eat healthy, believe me.
Yeah. That's the thing.
But you've spent nearly 35 years helping people improve their health. When you look back, what first drew you into natural health, and what convinced you that this was the path you were meant to follow?
Okay. Well, first of all, hey, thanks for having me.
Oh, my
I appreciate it. I love coming on podcasts. I love getting my message out and tell people about health, Yeah, I mean, the first time I ever heard anything about health was in high school. And my coach said, so I was in track and cross country.
Okay.
And, he says, he told me, he says, don't eat all that junk food. Don't eat pop. Your times are going to go down. I'm like, I never heard anything in my life that associated, with what I eat would turn into some of my performance or my health or how I run. And, quite honestly, when you're young, you can get away with that. We had one of the greatest stars at our high school worked in a convenience store, and he was a junk food addict, and that's all he ate.
Wow.
And he'd work all night, and then he'd go out at 11 o'clock and he'd run 20 miles and go to bed. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Dwayne Spitz, he ran in the Boston Marathon. He finished in the top 20. So he was but that kind of a lifestyle catches up with you.
Yeah.
You can do that when you're young, get away with it, burn calories, eat crap, There's actually a documentary out there about the human body and how it operates. And they show this, professional skater and I need calories. So they would eat all this garbage.
Yeah.
And you don't want to do that. So that was the first time I heard about it. Then kind of my early 20s, I stopped because I grew up in the 1960s. My bones are made out of Coca-Cola and Oreo cookies.
Yep.
I mean, I grew up on, no association with like health. But then I was in my early 20s. I totally changed my diet. I did some traveling. I was overseas, and I just gave up pop and cookies and Oreo cookies and all these things. And they all kind of went away. I had a change in lifestyle. And then I finished up college. I went to Michigan State, and then I did some more traveling. And that's actually, I went to India and became a vegetarian. And I became a vegetarian because you could not find meat at all in that you wanted to eat. You could see some meat sitting there, but you're going, no, I don't think so.
You didn't know what it was.
No, India has come a long way.
Right.
It's still pretty primitive. Back then, I mean, it was like, I was there 6 months. It was like a 6-month camping trip.
Wow.
And so it was really tough, but that's what was a stage forward, but it wasn't really. So I was already and then I just stayed vegetarian. The reason I just felt better. It kind of was easier to digest my food. I got used to it. You had to be really careful about the kind of what you're going to put in your body in India.
Mm-hmm.
Then I did some more traveling and I just kind of, over the years, I kind of stayed, I thought I was eating healthy, and I was compared to the average person. But then I got into business. So I got into business back in 93, and, I got into the bottled water business. And for the first thing I'll tell you was that people did not realize that bottled water was a health product. So this is early 90s.
That was before the big Flint, Michigan thing, right?
Oh yeah, Flint was just a few years ago.
Okay.
Flint was maybe 5 years ago now.
Okay.
That was pure stupidity.
That seemed like a long time ago.
That was so stupid. Maybe it was a little more than that.
Right.
I think Obama was in office around then.
Okay.
He went there and proved that you could drink it. But it was. They had City of Detroit water, which is great water.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, "Hey, let's get our water out of the Flint River." Well, did anyone test this? Did anybody, look? I mean, it's just fun. So that's kind of what happened there. But no, so I was in bottled water, and there was hardly really any bottled water on the market. I mean, you'd see bottles up there. There was Evian. There was a product called, and which is, by the way, that's naive spelled backwards, just so you know. So
I never thought about that.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was my early marketing. So I got into bottled water, and there was a couple other brands out there. Naya, was one, came from Canada. That Coca-Cola destroyed that by doing the distribution and then dumping them flat. So that was the plan all along. So then they got Dansani. So at any rate, I was huge in Target. you could walk into a Target and say, hey, here's my products. And I'll take, and bottled water was getting more popular.
Right.
I read a little article. I used to live in New York, and I read a little article. New York Times said bottled water is going to be huge in the 90s. And so that was it. Now, my father was a water expert. He had an engineering company. He taught at Michigan State, went to MIT. So he's a real expert in water. So I knew I had that end covered.
Right.
And so at any rate, I got into bottled water, started out of my basement. I said, you know what, if this doesn't work, and people thought I was crazy. You can't get into bottled water, especially, you gotta have a big company. But I said, no, I'm going to start this, Got into places like Target, just killed it. I mean, wow. I could just walk in. But then they corporatized in the late 90s. And so now you had to go to Minnesota to give them everything. Here's my product. So they will, so it was just out of my league. And they kicked me out overnight. I mean, I was outselling everybody. But people wanted this. They saw bottled water as a health product. So about 6 months into selling into the supermarkets and the pharmacies, and and into Target and many other places, I decided, you know what, these guys are just going to control my business. When they want to put me on display, I'm going to sell a ton. And that's what I sold, a ton of water. They put me a checkout lane. I mean, it was gone, I had all these colored caps, and the kids would see them, and mom would be like, okay, it's not a candy bar. So yeah, take your bottle of water. And it was a good price point. I was, it wasn't expensive. I was lower than everyone else. And so I did great. But anyway, I said, I got to get a bottled water store. And so I could deal directly with people, which I got. The Watershed, it was called. And then people kept coming in over the years, and they kept telling me about products I never heard of. And one of them was alkaline ionized water. So I got onto water. So I was already into water. Yeah, that's what
I'm drinking.
Okay, that's what you want to drink. And I wrote a book about that. It's one of my books, my bestseller, The Miraculous Properties of Ionized Water. The definitive guide to the world's healthiest substance, because there's there's nothing healthier for your body than water.
Right.
And then there's no better water than alkaline ionized water. So, and you want to stay away from purified water. That's reverse osmosis and distilled water. Okay. Oh. That's completely the opposite of ionized water. And I could give you the details on that, but you don't want to drink that. Rainwater is not purified water. Rainwater has got a lot of stuff in it, and it's it's not just pure water falling out of the sky. So at any rate, and it's just a substance you don't find in nature at all, purified water, because it's always mixing with something.
Right.
So, yep. So at any rate, another one. So they came in. I got into that. And that was in the 90s, the water. And then somebody came in and mentioned actually something they called it plant plankton. It wasn't plant plankton. It was really spirulina.
Okay.
Which is two of the biggest foods. I wrote that once, one of my books there, Chlorella and Spirulina, kings of all superfoods. So I'm like, I never heard it, so I'm a vegetarian. I never heard of spirulina. Spirulina and chlorella are 60% protein.
Really?
Okay. Yeah. And so the highest amount of protein in any food, nobody comes close. Nothing comes close to, the amount of protein that's in there. But then they're both very broad array of nutrients, the most nutritionally dense foods in the world. And the only two foods really you can live on exclusively and get all your basic nutrients. So you can survive on a lot of things.
I've never heard of it.
Yeah, I know that's what I'm trying to change. That's one of the things. Yeah, people don't know spirulina. So spirulina is a blue algae. It's technically not an algae.
Right.
It's called cyanobacteria, but let's not get too detailed. And then chlorella is a green algae. So chlorella is like the first food on the planet billions of years ago. That's the first thing that really appeared.
Interesting.
And to be honest, also as a plant. Okay. But spirulina was before that, cyanobacteria, about 300 million years.
Wow.
So you see these powerful foods that have been on the planet for billions of years. And then eventually we had land plants and all that, and even seaweed. Now, seaweed's a derivative of it, and it's there's lots of incredible seaweed out there you can put in your diet. Kelp is a good example, one of the ones I sell. There's a whole bunch of them out there. Dulse is a good one, but those came like millions of years later. So chlorella was a fresh water, okay, nothing from the sea. Same with spirulina, the fresh water algae. So I got into those. So I heard about them. I'm like, okay, why have I never heard about this? I'm a vegetarian. I used to eat, fish and eggs, and I mean that's how eating eggs in India is how I survived. I mean, literally one of the ways. If the eggs were cooked right in front of me, don't go.
Not the wrong way.
Not get them from the back. Ate a lot of peanuts because I could open them up and eat them, and because I was just getting so sick everywhere I went, dysentery, constantly. Yeah. So but now I'm thinking, okay, now, so I was eating dairy products, which I love, but dairy products and eggs and fish. And so I said, I don't need those. I'm taking spirulina. So I started taking it, and I'm a runner. So my time started dropping. My recovery started getting shorter from eating the spirulina. And then I back then, this is early 90s. So the internet's out there, but it's, pretty, rudimentary. Yeah. And pretty basic. Google is not out there. So I went down to the health food store and I found a book on chlorella. I'm like, what's chlorella? Wow. What's that? So then I got that book and I read it, and like, even at the health food store, they maybe had one brand. There was something called Sun Chlorella, and that was the one brand that was on there of chlorella. And then there's something called spirulina. There's like one brand, right, usually from China or whatever. There's just not, people just didn't know about it. You'd ask in the health food store, so what's this chlorella? They didn't know anything about it. They're like, oh, I don't know. I know about all our vitamins and all that stuff. But at any rate, so it was just not well known at all. But somebody told me about that, and I got into it and got into chlorella. So I did get on the internet and started searching around. What can I find? Well, at first I found spirulina that came out of Hawaii. So I started buying that in tablets and packaging it and selling it to people. And then I was lucky enough to find chlorella in Taiwan, because it's not made in a lot of places. You got to know what you're doing. Right. It's not nearly as easy as spirulina. Okay. Spirulina is just grown pretty easily. And, it's simple. Chlorella is much more difficult. And then you got to take the cell wall of the chlorella and break it open, okay, to get at the nutrients, called cracked cell or broken cell. Mm-hmm. And you crack that open, and that fiber is amazing. Really probably the best dietary fiber known in the world. And it pulls out heavy metals, herbicides, pesticides, all sorts of toxins from the body. Wow. And so you get this, and that's what's on the outer shell. And that's one of the things that's like protected chlorella for all these, centuries and centuries and centuries. The fact that it's got this hard shell protects it from radiation, protects it from change. It just has been there all that time. What's it, like a nut or something? Or yeah, we're talking about microalgae, and microalgae is, I don't have a tablet here, so it's in a tablet. It's in a tablet. Okay. It's in a tablet, or it's in a tablet or powder. Okay. Now I do the tablets. You're just so much better off because they're not culinary delicacies, but they are the two most powerful foods. That's what I was going to ask you, if it's something you could add to food. Yeah, you can add, people do that. They put it in their smoothies. Yeah. Oh. The green smoothies, the red smoothies. There's a tablet. Okay. So 12 of those, which is 3 grams, that's a serving size. And that's got, so if you took a serving size in your hand, right, 12 tablets, and you took down that down with a meal, that's all the protein you need for that meal. Okay. So if you still want to eat meat, fish, eggs, or dairy, that's strictly for the taste, but that's enough right there of 12 tablets. So people want to take one of these because they like pills. But right. It's like, okay, it's all right. But I take a lot more than 12, at a time. I probably take around 20, 25. Wow. But you look at the amount of protein, you're really only talking a couple of grams of protein, because they always tell you with the food guide pyramid, the food pyramid thing,
which always changes.
You need 51 grams of protein. You need about 50 grams of meat. Okay. And of meat, that is protein is about 15 to maybe 20%, depending on the cut of meat. You get your filet mignon, it's going to be up there around 20. You get your hamburger and your standard hamburger and the really low, that's going to be around close 15, 16%. So you got to, just kind of think about how much protein is actually in there. It's a kind of misunderstood nutrient. Protein.
Yeah.
We didn't know about it 100, 150 years ago. They kind of discovered, hey, here's protein. And, it does amazing things in the body, but you don't need that much of it. And the body can't store protein. It can't store amino acids. So that's why you constantly need to be eating a little bit of protein throughout the day.
Okay.
So every meal, I recommend you have some protein, no matter what. You always have your protein. So, because it'll help you digest that food.
Right.
So like, even if you're going to have a salad, do either take some chlorella and spirulina or put some chicken on it, because there's a little bit of protein and that salad's going to go in better no matter what you eat. You eat a baked potato, put some meat on there or whatever. You have some eggs, in the morning, whatever. That protein's going to help you digest that a lot more efficiently. So I got back to these. I kept getting people coming in, all these health-minded people, because it was bottled water. And then I found out about ionized water right in the beginning, in the 90s. So I started selling that by the gallon, including just really well filtered water that came from literally a well 250 feet down. I had great water. Michigan has great water. Like I have a well at my house. I'm blessed, because everybody else has municipal water. But where I am, it's such kind of it goes back to 1970, the house. So that's all you had was wells. Well, I I went down, years and years ago, they asked Ronald Reagan, they said, hey, we have a drought here. What are we going to do? And he said, well, well, he always used to say that, well, so I have a well, go right down to, we got great water. And that, you go down to like Florida, they don't have good water at all, because that was a marsh 30,000 years ago. So they don't have good water. So it depends on where you are. You go out to the Southwest. I mean, you got to go down 1,000 feet to strike water, 1,000 feet. And they don't even know where that water is coming from. They really don't know. We know where ours is coming from. Right. It's a sandstone aquifer that's called the Pennsylvania Foundation. So, or strata, but it's really the foundation. But okay, we know where that's come. But you get out west, it's so deep, they're not sure where that water actually is coming. Is that where it's coming? Because it's all a desert. Yeah. So, like New Mexico is a good example. But and it very, very high calcium in the water. I mean, you can have 1,000 parts per million out there. Whoa. And so, really, really high, is saturated in the water. So that's what they look at it. And a lot of fluoride, out there, natural fluoride. It still isn't good for you, but it's not as bad as the fluoride they put into the water, into the drinking water. That's sodium fluoride or sodium fluoride. And then what you find out of the ground is calcium fluoride. So not as bad, but still I would avoid it if possible. But that you go out to New Mexico, and you got what they call the fluoride belt. And, it's like, you get up there 18, 20 parts per million of fluoride. That's off the scale. What they're putting in your water, which I wish they wouldn't, is about 0.9 parts per million, 0.9, maybe 1 part per million at the most. They shouldn't put anything. I don't know where this comes from. It's one of the big myths that they should just stop it. Utah stopped it. They signed the bill out there. I mean, I couldn't believe that they forced it through the House and the Senate, and the governor reluctantly signed the bill. That was maybe a year ago. So taking the fluoride out of the water is amazing. I couldn't believe it, because that's the AMA is behind, American Medical, or ADA, American Dental Association. Okay. They're behind the fluoride. There's some other groups out there too that are really behind that, but they're behind the fluoride. But at any rate, so once again, I'm in my store and I keep getting people coming in and tell me about different things. They tell me about how healthy raw fruits and vegetables are. So I'm like, why do I want to do that? There's this old woman that used to come in. I call her old, but I mean, she was Hiawatha Cromer. She's a black woman. That woman just refused to listen to anything that was negative. If you started talking negative, she'd change the subject.
Yeah.
What a beautiful day, and she just was something. She passed away. They had so many people at her funeral.
Oh, I bet.
She was beloved. But she came in, she says, you should sell my sprouts. She was making sprouts. And I never heard of really a sprout in my life. So anyway, I said, okay, why would I want this? And then I started looking into sprouts. And then, I want the enzyme. So I bought a book on enzyme therapy by Dr. Howell. And I began to say, this is what our body wants.
Mm-hmm.
Enzymes are every raw fruit and vegetable. And by the way, we talk about ionized water. Ionized water, why it's so incredible, it has all the exact properties as raw fruits and vegetables, all of them, except there's no nutrients, okay? So you have a negative ORP and a powerful antioxidant, okay? It has actually 3 antioxidant qualities in ionized water, and then an abundance of electrons, which our bodies starve for. It's very alkaline, raises the body pH. Mm-hmm. Disease can't live in a neutral environment. And you measure that through your urine, not your tongue. Right. That's different. That's different pH. And you do it every day for a month. It'll give you a moving average. And then, it's got these, what they call structured water. So they're the water molecule clusters that are 6-sided. Now you look at anything in nature, there's a hexagonal water. Now you look at anything in nature, the most efficient shape in nature is the hexagon. And that's the energy that it comes down to. So you see crystals, hexagon. You see snakeskin, hexagon. You see bug eyes, okay, hexagon. Honeycomb, hexagon. So this is now we go back to purified water. There used to be something called penta water. Well, that's 5-sided. Penta water that was on the market for years and years. That's purified water.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and that doesn't fit. Our body wants the hexagon because it's the human body, and so does an animal. They want a hexagon.
Yeah.
And we all do. It's just much. So what it does is it gets in there, hydrates your tissue very well, much better than any other kind of water, whether it's conventional spring water, and especially purified water. And it hydrates the body and the cells, and then pushes out all the things that don't belong there, which we refer to as toxins. Mm-hmm. So it's really detoxifying. Just shortly or briefly, a toxin is something that doesn't belong in the body. And there are very serious toxins, heavy metals, herbicides, pesticides, all sorts of really bad stuff. And then there are very mild ones. And that's what disease lives on. That's what starts disease. That's what you get, your body becomes toxic. Well, it's got a bunch of things that don't belong in there. I mean, if you're running a business and you say you had just a bunch of people coming in and talking to people and hanging around and talking about what happened at the ballpark yesterday, you'd say, okay, hey, we're there. You need to leave because I'm trying to run a business here. You're toxic. Well, that's what's going inside your body. You got all these things that are there that don't belong there, and they're interfering with intercellular communication. And they're getting lodged in the tissue, and they're creating this acidic environment and there's this toxic environment. I'm gonna tell you right now, all this, Alzheimer's and dementia. I mean, it's all been going on from, crazy aunt so-and-so, back then. She's, brain toxicity is nothing new, but it's become so common amongst people. But that is, they say, well, we're looking for the cure for that. Well, that's brain toxicity, and it's very, very difficult to detoxify the brain, especially when you're older. So, one of the things that the brain needs, 2 things in basics: fat. The brain needs fat, and then it needs acids, amino acids, all sorts of different types of acids. And one of the things it needs is magnesium. And it needs it really badly because that is the the connectors, the synapse. And so I sell a particular type of magnesium called magtine or magnesium L-threonate.
Okay.
So magnesium L-threonate, I'm big into magnesium. I don't really have a magnesium product. I think I'm going to put one together. But I get up every day myself personally, and I take a mixture of 7 different types of magnesium. And one of them is the L-threonate that gets into the brain. But that's been proven in studies one after another to increase synapses and synaptic activity. And so that's what you want for clear thinking. I'm 68 and I'm thinking clear every single day. I'm like, well, the brain fog, and you got to get on top. So I would recommend you start getting magnesium in your diet, in particular magnesium L-threonate, or what they call Magtine, and just a brand name. And but once I found out about that, once it was introduced to me by a company that really didn't understand what this product was. I mean, they knew it. I saw it. Yeah, it was about 10, 15 years ago. Yeah, they're a big supplier. But the woman that was there, she kind of knew what it was, and she started telling me about this, and I'm going, holy crap, this is amazing. So she gave me like 100 grams, and I took it home. It's not the type of thing that you really take and you feel it immediately, but some people do. My younger son says, yeah, I mean, I can immediately feel Magtine, but I really don't. But really for mental clarity is one of the most important things. Mm-hmm. But anyway, but ionized water really helps us detoxify, including the brain, And by the way, that magnesium crosses the brain-blood barrier. It's the only type of magnesium. Threonine is an amino acid. I highly recommend adding that to your diet. That'll do amazing things in the body, threonine. So these different amino acids can there's a lot of talk about peptides. Those are amino acids. They're short chain amino acids. But we just got to get right back to the basics. Yeah. Being mineralized is one of the most important things. So I got into raw fruits and vegetables, and I still eat mostly raw fruits and vegetables. Like I do. I haven't eaten anything. I'm same time as you, so it's 11 o'clock. I don't eat anything till noon every day. So I've got a chance in the morning. Well, throughout the night, I ate at 6 o'clock last night. And then I have this, chance for my body to, kind of cleanse itself. Right. So I'm on a mini fast. So I'm fasting every single day, 15 to 18 hours. Now, fasting is the healthiest thing you can do. I do it every day. And then I have a meal at noon, and I usually eat a lot of fruit because I like it. And then I have my spirulina and chlorella, so I get my protein. And it keeps me light in my stomach. So I'm not I don't want to have a big, heavy, even a big, heavy salad or anything. But, whatever's in season, like the mangoes, I think that's my favorite one. The mangoes, they're in season now. And, I always love my bananas and, whatever, in a month or so, we'll start getting apples. We get tomatoes coming on in another month, so those are good. Another fruit. But at any rate, I got into, the eating these raw foods, and I felt better, right away. I start sprouts. Sprouts are little seeds that, sprout, and that's it. And people think, okay, now you can grow broccoli, or you can grow anything from a seed. You got to have the right seed. But
all kinds of different sprouts, correct?
Yeah, you think for as many fruits and vegetables in the world, that's how many sprouts there are. But during the winter, so you say, where are you going to get your fresh food and all that kind of stuff? Well, I like red clover, alfalfa, radish is a good one. Mm-hmm. They're easy to sprout. Things more like other ones like arugula are more difficult. They're kind of viscous, so they kind of got this. You got to grow them on clay or terracotta.
Really,
you got to know what you're doing with those guys. But which you can grow them, and they're not that bad. But I do that throughout the winter. So but they're powerful foods because when a seed sprouts, I'll give you a good example of broccoli. So when a seed sprouts, it produces huge amounts of enzymes. And in the case of broccoli, it produces something called sulforaphane. And sulforaphane is powerful anti-cancer properties used throughout the body. There's actually 2 different enzymes that are prominent, but you'll get 50 times more sulforaphane out of a sprout 3 to 5 days old than you will in an entire head of broccoli.
Really?
Yeah, because it produces that sulforaphane right in the beginning. As soon as it sprouts, it's doing its thing. It's really miraculous. It's doing all these, things. As soon as you add water, that's it, man. And it does all these things, and then it grows into a plant. So it stops making the sulforaphane because, okay, it made that, and now it's got to work on the plant, and that just gets spread out into the head of the broccoli, and the most of it's going to be in the florets on top, which is what we usually eat, not in the stem. But you're just best off sprouting broccoli, and which is one of the ones. Is another one I do. I sprout broccoli all winter, so you're getting these powerful, enzymes, and it right in the beginning. So I'm getting huge amounts of sulforaphane and some other enzymes out of all these. And just so you understand, now enzymes, when you cook your food, they're gone. So if you stir up a nice, onions and garlic or whatever you got, when you hit 104 degrees, enzymes start breaking down. By 118 degrees, they're gone, and they ain't coming back. So, and there's a lot of energy, and there's a lot of in a raw food because there's so many enzymes. And let me tell you something. One thing we will never do is make an enzyme. God created the enzymes, and that's he's not giving you the formula. No. I mean, a blade of grass. I mean, I think it was Henry Ford said, "Give me, we do all these machines and all this stuff. We can't make one blade of grass." That's like, what's going on with that? So we need the seeds. We always need the seeds. It's another good thing to keep down in the bunker. If you ever have to go in the bunker, get some seeds. That's powerful food. All you need is water. Those sprout, and then you've got a really powerful food source down there. So along with the chlorella and spirulina. So if I was going to go into the bunker, I want 1 or 2 kilos or several pounds of chlorella and spirulina, because that's your ultimate. You could do your Patriot Supply and these things and all the cooked foods and open the packet. But nothing compare. If you want to stay healthy and get your nutrients, you want spirulina and chlorella, and seeds is a good way. So at any rate, but there's so much energy, and it's up here. Whereas when you eat low on when you really eat crap, when you're eating fast food, fried foods, which we all love, processed foods, this is as low as it gets. I mean, there's no energy there. And so you wonder why we age. Well, we age because we keep putting low energy substances into our body, and sometimes it's just total crap, and maybe the wrong thing or whatever. But
you become what you eat.
We still, well, get into that. You are what you eat. But I'll tell you something. I'm big into digestive enzymes. You need to break down those foods. So I take digestive enzymes with everything I eat, because you are not what you eat. You are what you can assimilate. Okay. So you got to break down that food. You got to break down the oil, the fat. Right. Okay. If you started taking lipase, which I have like a full spectrum blend of digestive enzymes. So lipase breaks down fat. Now people get lactose intolerant. Mm-hmm. You need lactase to break down that molecule into 2 things, lactose and then galactose. But what happens is you don't have that present anymore. So that you eat some dairy, and so it comes down to the kind of the colon, and it kind of blocks the colon, so you can't absorb nutrients, and then you end up with diarrhea. Yeah. Okay. That's lactose intolerance. So, or some people just feel bad, just every time I eat. But if you want to eat, dairy products, take some lactase with it. I don't sell it by itself, but it's in my full spectrum digestive blend. Right. And so you want to have that with every single meal, so you can break down your proteins, your carbohydrates, all particular foods, your dairy, if you're doing this, your fats. We're really, one of the most dangerous diets you can even get on these days is a really low fat or no fat diet. I mean, back in the
Naturopathic.
70s, these women, especially these models, we had Twiggy, you know,
Oh,
and
yeah.
yeah, and she's skinny as a rail, and she went on this low fat, no fat diet, and she got really, nobody talks about it. She got really, really sick. You start getting anorexia
Yeah.
because your body needs fat. Okay. You need fatty acids. Now you don't need animal fat. You don't need a bunch of crap fat and the stuff they put in, that they have in, in the fast food joints and that, because
Right.
that's just going to get into that's going to make you fat. Okay. Because you're not breaking it down, but you really need to break down all these foods into their elementary parts, so your lower intestines can absorb the nutrients, and then that's how you get real nutrients into your body. But at any rate, so I got into the foods, and then I found out about probiotics, the friendly bacteria.
Oh, yeah.
Friend of mine, she had a yeast infection, and men, they always say women get yeast infection down the vaginal area.
Yeah.
The truth is, men get it too, but it tends to come out more in their head because that's the warmest part of your body. And you see these people that got like dandruff from hell,
Right.
I mean, it's like, what's going on? That's usually the yeast that's coming out of their head.
Really?
Falling down. Yeah. And to be honest with you, you want to stay away from those people because you don't want to start breathing it in. You don't want to get it on your hands.
Yeah.
You don't want to be anywhere near them. But they're just become so overgrown with, yeast, mold, and fungus that, both men and women are getting these yeast infections throughout the body. And, it's really, these are the people that live on such a crappy diet because yeast, mold, fungus, these are recycling agents.
Yeah.
Okay. They're recycling you back into nature. And so nature's kind of looking at your body and going, you know what, you're really not part of nature. Let's recycle you. And so that's how it happens. And the ultimate recycling agent, of course, is cancer.
Yeah.
So it's recycling you back into nature because you become so toxic inside your body that you've created an environment where disease thrives.
Yeah.
So, I tell people something that you're not going to hear too many people say, but your body can cure itself of any disease, and all disease comes from our diet. People eat the wrong kinds of foods, and people like, you go to the doctor. I've been to the doctor. I usually go for my blood work, but you go there and they go, okay, what diseases run in your family? Well, my dad had a heart attack. My grandma had cancer, and so, okay, that runs in your family. No, dietary habits run in your family. And I'll tell you another thing that you're not going to hear anywhere else. You will not ever find chronic disease in the wild. Nobody has ever shot a deer and brought it back and found it full of cancer, arthritis, any other animal, arthritis, fibromyalgia, high diabetes, high blood pressure. These are all, we're the only species on Earth that gets chronic disease, okay, other than the animals we domesticate and put them on cat food, puppy chow diet. You raise them, eat farmers, depends on how you're raising them, but it's the same thing.
I'll be
now,
darned.
infectious disease, right? Bacteria, viruses, that's rampant throughout nature. So virus is common, or infectious diseases. We had one here back, must have been 5 years ago with the deer. The deer were getting sick from this virus, and they couldn't, but they were dying. And one of mine had a deer die right in his pond, and it was trouble because he had to go get one of the farmers and get that deer out of his rotting and bury it. But so infectious disease is out there, but not chronic. So the invention of all these diseases, you will not find a deer with cancer in the wild. And I've asked doctors about that, and they just dismiss it. They just no, that's not what we were taught in medical school. We were taught this. So at any rate, I began to understand about probiotics, the friendly bacteria.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a bacteria. There's something called Saccharomyces boulardii. That's a type of yeast. So that's a really healthy yeast that works down in your lower colon to really digest your food and clear it out. If you notice, one of the most prominent forms of cancer is colon cancer because that's the most acidic part of your body. See, you're getting down there into that really acid, and people get they get constipated. They don't go to the bathroom every day. They don't go to. I knew a woman back in the day in my old store. She goes, I go to the bathroom once a week. So she's
week.
Once a week, and I'm going. You're becoming so acidic. Well, she was older, and I know, but you look at it's very common elderly people. I
get nervous if I don't go once a day.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what you should at least be. Everything, when you eat something, you want to get it into your body, you want to extract the nutrients, and then you want it out of there as soon as possible. So, it's just an absolute, and probiotics are there to break down, the help you break down the nutrients and to prepare your body for digestion. And to clear out the bad bacteria. The best example is a bacteria called H. pylori. Well, that's what causes stomach ulcers. So this idea that, I eat something and it causes an ulcer. No, this bacteria, you've become polluted down in your stomach. And this particular bacteria called H. pylori, it's called Halobacter is the full name, but H. pylori is there, and it's gotten in between the stomach and its lining, and it's eating a hole through it. And so when you eat something really acidic, that really hurts, so it's causing my ulcer. It's just aggravating it. The ulcer is caused by this bacteria, but the probiotic, which I have a full spectrum probiotic that I sell, the probiotic will helps you to, kill the bad bacteria, because there's lots of H. pylori is one example. There's millions of bad bacteria, and so we got to get that out of the body, and you want to establish really healthy bacteria in the body. And the best examples, lactobacillus is a friendly bacteria, right? B. bifidum or bifidum. There's literally hundreds, thousands of millions of type of really healthy bacteria. There's like about 2.5 million types of bacteria in our digestive tract, just the types of bacteria. And we don't know what all of them do, but we know they're beneficial. They're doing something, and then there's really bad ones like H. pylori, and there's really serious ones. And you see the outbreaks that we had one with the lettuce. That's a bacteria. Okay. I recommend silver for that, but that's another thing I wrote. Silver. Yeah. Silver will kill any kind of bacteria, yeast, mold, fungus, anything in the world. And a lot of these viruses, they live in the blood. Like we had the COVID, and what I learned during COVID, many things. One of the things I learned was, don't mention silver, and you won't get demonetized on YouTube. don't mention infectious diseases, and you won't get demonetized on YouTube. So they just don't want to hear about that. So I can never talk about infectious diseases on YouTube. That's the truth. But anyway, so I wrote a whole book on that. Another long story. But I had meningitis, and I got that from the mosquitoes in Michigan back in 2012. And we get outbreaks of meningitis. That's viral. It's a viral form because there's bacterial and virus. So you get meningitis. I didn't know I had it. And then we also get encephalitis, and that's in the mosquitoes. And we had that, honestly, right in the middle of COVID. We had an outbreak of encephalitis, and we were the number one hot spot for the world, literally, where I am here. Clinton County, Michigan, where I was, because they had it in one band around the world, one latitude, and they were going, watch out for these places. And here's the outbreaks that we found, Clinton County, Michigan, where I was. That's so lucky you. They never told anybody back then, hey, don't go outside. You get your bug spray, long sleeves, something. So, and there was a woman that came in, and I mentioned that to her, and she goes, oh my God. She goes, my neighbor died from encephalitis last summer.
Really?
That's a 30% mortality, 30%. So 30% of the people get encephalitis, you're gone. And then 21% of the people who get meningitis are gone. They're going to die. So that's mortality. So it's very serious. I've told people that I have meningitis. I've even told medical doctors, just seeing them talking. They're like, really? I mean, they're like, how are you alive? Most people end up with brain damage, but anyway.
It's serious.
Yeah, it's serious stuff. COVID was 0.04% of the people died of COVID. And most of them were elderly and they had very weak immune systems. And it takes a long time to build up your immune system. A lot of people, when you look in families, it's interesting. The oldest person is usually the sickest person in the family. The youngest person, like especially if you have like a 10 or 12 kids in a family, the youngest one, the last one, they're usually the healthiest, have the strongest immune system. Because when you first get the baby, you're coming home, you're like, oh my God, it's scrubbing the ceiling and everything's sanitary. And okay, by the 12th kid, you're like, put them in the crib. We didn't even change the crib or the blanket from the last kid. We just get them in there. So they're exposed to all this bacteria and they just get that immune system.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you something. I got 2 kids. They're in their 30s now. But, there really is something to be said about creating too clean, too sterile of an environment for an infant. They need to be exposed to, viruses, bacteria. If they
keep them in a bubble.
They keep them in a bubble. They got their, it's like, and literally, we got, they got the ban them over, they don't want to take them out. They don't want to, and so at any rate, that's just an interesting thing to, expose children. It's usually the youngest that is the strongest immune system.
That's true.
Yeah. And so, wow. So, so at any rate, I got into the probiotics, I got into the digestive enzymes, and then the last thing I really found out about that was about the mid 2000s was minerals. You got to stay mineralized, and I do these types of. This one just happens to be iodine, so I do liquid angstrom. So angstrom is the size of the molecule. It's pure. This one just is pure iodine in purified water. So you take about a capful or teaspoon, put it into your mouth, put it under your tongue. It goes directly into your bloodstream through your sublingual duct under your tongue.
Okay.
And that's the most effective way to get minerals into your body. And there's all sorts of different ways. I do sell some. I sell electrolytes. That's your calcium and your magnesium. And that's for you need those, man, I'm telling you. Magnesium for the heart. That is your number one mineral. Number 2 is iodine. But, I always tell people minerals are the keys that start the engine of our health. So every physiological process of the body depends on a mineral, and magnesium for your heartbeat. That's why every time you hear that heartbeat, click, 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 that's magnesium burning. That's your body. When you have a heart attack, the first thing they do is they go into the first thing they do, Rich, is they put you on. If you ever go into the hospital, they put you on a magnesium drip. They know right away. It's the first thing they do, and any nurse or any doctor will tell you the same thing. Yeah, you're right. They never really thought about it. But your electrolytes, your sodium, super important. They tell you, hey, don't eat salt. Well, don't eat that table salt and Morton crap. They put so many anti-caking agents in there. They put a bunch of crap. Remember the old Morton? Hey, you get pores in the rain. It's like, yeah, of course it does. You put a bunch of anti-caking crap in there, and it pours in the rain. It doesn't get moist.
Look what it does to a slug.
Yeah. And so
I see something like that. I don't want to eat it.
Exactly. But anyway, sodium's super important. I mean, we without sodium, we'd become a jellyfish overnight. We would just kind of, and so sodium, potassium for the brain, magnesium. There's all these electrolytes. That's what, you want to, quite honestly, you want those, especially in the morning. I take a lot, I take my magnesium in the morning, but I always get my electrolytes throughout the day, and I take them before I work out. And if you're a runner, whether it's at high school or anytime, take a little bit of electrolytes right before your race. You find that's what they put in Gatorade.
Yeah.
Except Gatorade is crap. There's a lot healthier ways to get stuff into your body than food color and dyes and that stuff. But that's the point of the Gatorade, is to get the minerals back into your body, in particular the calcium, the magnesium, the potassium that you need for that conductivity within your blood.
Mm-hmm.
It's moving, your things are there. So you not only need the electrolytes, but you need basically around 28 or 26 minerals. That's in my full spec. I have one. I don't know if I have. Oh, here it is. That's my full spectrum blend. So that's got all the different minerals. And I'll tell you a few. And you can't. It's hard to get. What I realized when I got tested for minerals, they're like, "Oh, you're low on all these minerals." And I'm like, "Hey, I'm on a crazy diet. I'm super healthy. How could I miss all these minerals?" It's hard to get them from foods, even if you're growing your organic foods from your diet, your garden. I mean,
yeah,
and you're eating that and everything. You just can't get. Now, the three of the best examples are gold. So you need gold for your brain, and that gold will help you do brain regulation, sleep regulation, and dreaming. So you'll remember your dreams when you take gold. Like you take a little gold, and you're taking a very small amount. Again, you're taking that teaspoon, but you're just getting almost a little bit of gold, just a little tiny gold, and that will really help brain regulation. Now, another one is indium. Indium is the pineal gland. Indium is in the center of the brain. That's another metal, right? It's a mineral. It's a metallic mineral.
Right.
That pineal gland, that's in the center of the brain. People say that is that's your spiritual connection.
Mm-hmm.
It produces melatonin. It looks at light. Like if it's light, it won't produce melatonin. If it's dark, okay, it'll produce melatonin. Right. And it goes on that rhythm. Well, that's your pineal gland, and that can become calcified or coated even with fluoride. And so it's only about that big, the pineal gland. Super important. This is a gland, that's your thyroid, mm-hmm. which the doctors love taking this out. They love to take that. They take them 15 seconds with radiation to take out your thyroid. They just, it's gone.
Wow.
And you need that. Yeah, it's very common. And I've had people come in my store. I had my thyroid removed. Will iodine help? Well, you lost your thyroid. I mean, will it help? Yeah. Iodine has 500 uses in the body, is really important for the brain, but it's the thyroid. Yeah. It's your metabolism. You see people, these young kids that are so fat, they're fat because they get no iodine at all. These chubby, they're sitting there looking at the screen and playing games. Mm-hmm. That's number one. We got there's something called the outside. Okay. And you go outside and play, and that'll burn calories,
And you get some vitamins too.
Yeah. You get sunlight, vitamin D. I could go on an hour with vitamin D and how important that is. You can get that from the sunlight. And there's all sorts of different times of the day that the sun is doing something for your body. The UV time, maybe it's cloudy, it's in the evening, so anybody will tell you, and I'll tell you, go outside, get some sunlight every day, get your skin
fresh air.
To it. Yeah. Oh, fresh air. I mean, that's another one, sitting inside the boxes. We live in a world of boxes. Yeah. We go from especially down in Phoenix when it's 110, they go from box to box to box. They go into the store, it's a box. They go in, their car is a box. They do not go outside. It's, it's just too hot. But we got to avoid that. And that's why, you got to get out and get some, exercise, which, by the way, that goes to, so number 5 is my minerals and how important my minerals are for the body. Because everyone, like I said, and by the way, last one is, for the brain, okay, platinum. So platinum is another one. The brain needs platinum. So platinum, and you're not talking a lot. I've got some probably, here's my platinum. See?
Yeah.
And you're just taking a teaspoon a day. That's all you need. Hold it into your mouth as long as you can. It's a great way to shut people up. Just, hey, you put this in your mouth and be quiet for 5 minutes, please. And it's a great way to do it. It's kind of an excuse you can get, right? So but platinum for brain activity in particular. So I take that one in the morning. And I've got blends of minerals that I got a morning blend, an afternoon blend, an evening blend. So they don't interfere. Minerals can interfere with each other. Like
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah. They really copper and zinc are the best example. They're right next to each other on the periodic table. Go look them up. There's like literally one is identical to the other, but one's got one less the weight. I don't want to say one less molecule, but the weight of it is a little bit less.
Right.
And so your body gets confused, and it says, "Wow, is that copper? Is that zinc?" And you need zinc, and you need copper, and so they do different things in the body. And but so that's why don't take your zinc now. Wait a few hours and then take your copper.
Okay.
So I break them out into groups. Or you can just do full spectrum. I got them all at once. People want to, do something and go. So at least you're getting your basic minerals. But like I said, there's 26 of them. There's some that I think that are much more important for the body, but they're all doing something. Molybdenum, people never heard of that one. What is that doing? Cobalt. Now, cobalt is, okay, that's how you make vitamin B12.
Yeah.
So people will say, hey, I got to have, meat for vitamin B12. Well, what you need is all an animal is doing is taking cobalt and bacteria and making vitamin B12. That's how the body does it. It does it in an animal and it does it in a human. So I don't think I have cobalt, but I always take it every day. It's in my full spectrum. But I always have my friendly bacteria, but that's what it's doing. So it's bacteria and cobalt. And that's why, as an example, or a little tip, there's two types of vitamin B12 on the market, and you really need your B12.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go blind without it. If your balance isn't right, it's, B12 deficiency. And it does a lot of things. It's of all the B vitamins, it's the most important. B6 for the brain, B5 for the brain, but B12 does so many things. But there's cyanocobalamin, and then there's methylcobalamin. Well, methylcobalamin is natural. That's what you get. Your body produces that, or you can get from eating meat, or you could supplement with it, methyl.
Right.
And then there's cyanocobalamin. That's cyanide. That's a cyanide. So you got to take that cyanide, you got to break off that molecule, get rid of it, because it's an incredibly strong poison.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to get rid of it. So stay away from anything called cyanocobalamin and get rid of that, and then take methylcobalamin if you get a supplement. Yeah. Otherwise, supplement with cobalt and bacteria. I have a product that has, you kind of buy some probiotic and you buy cobalt, and that'll make your B12. But that's one of the more important ones. So, and then, we've gone a while here. So, but I don't want to forget another, number 6 on my protocol is exercise.
Yes.
We talked about, you got to get out there and hike. I'm a workout fanatic. I just like it. I got a whole gym in my basement. Mm-hmm. I've got a elliptical. I've got a climber. I've got a full workout machine. The thing is, it cost me like $4,000. I mean, you could do every single, muscle in the body.
Right.
But a guy that I interviewed years and years ago, was a guy. It'll come to me. You probably know the name, but he was always like, you got to get out and exercise every single day, and there's 650 muscles in your body, and you got to work those out. And he was so right about that. And he was one of these. He had a television show back in the 50s. If I said his name, you'd recognize it. But he was the first guy, and the women would sit there and go, "Yeah, I got the TV. I'm exercising."
Was that Jack
LaLanne?
LaLanne,
Jack
yeah.
LaLanne. I had him on my show. What a great guy. He was in his 90s when I talked to him. He died in his 90s.
Yeah.
And his wife died over 100.
Wow.
And he was a health fanatic, and he would do the raw juices and everything like that. But I had him on my show. He was so kind. He was such a great guy.
Yeah.
But daily vigorous exercise, get out there and where you're breathing. Yeah. You don't need to be dying. You don't need to be, you can if you want. Yeah, I'm a runner. So really get those lungs pumping. But I mean, I always say, even if you're in a wheelchair, get it to the point where you're a little bit out of breath, because you want that blood circulating through the body.
Get that heart rate up.
Yep. Get the heart rate up. Get your blood cleansed through the circulation. Get the organs cleansed with all the blood going through it. It'll keep you sharp up here. Okay. There's a book called Spark, and there's a few books like this out there, but it tells you, like, he goes, you look at any athlete in high school or even college, and especially ones that are into sports, they're always smarter and they have better grades. And some of them let their grades slide because they're too busy with the sports. But there's a huge connection between exercise and brain activity. And that's why it's called Spark. And it's written by the way, by a medical doctor, Spark.
Oh, really?
And I read that book years and years ago. And so, but it'll tell you there's a huge connection. Of course, there's a huge connection between the brain and the stomach. They call the stomach the second brain. But there's a huge connection between physical exercise, where you're breathing and you're moving, and you get this pretty much daily thing, not just once a month, but day in and day out. You only need 15, 20 minutes.
Right.
If you're not doing it, it's just, you just don't want to spend the 15, 20 minutes. You'll make time for what's important. And so you got to get out there, and you got to exercise every day. So daily vigorous exercise, and then positive mental attitude.
Yes.
And that's number 7. You got to stay positive. If you're negative, like I told you about my friend Hiawatha.
Yeah.
I mean, she was just like, they'd walk up to her. Did you hear about so-and-so and what happened? And she would just start talking about the leaves and the color of the leaves and what a beautiful day it is. She was a Christian woman. She had this, and that's why everyone loved this woman. You could not say anything negative to her. She would just ignore you. She wouldn't go, don't do this and that. She just would just change the subject.
That's
she
good.
would do that. Yeah. She would just do it. Oh my gosh. I mean, she was just an amazing person.
Yeah.
So she's an older woman, but she had it. She knew that positive. So I always say, and I don't care if it's your prayer life, or, just staying positive, but if you do everything else I say, you're you're healthy. If this is against you, you're going to fail. And you can't do it with this alone. I got cancer, I'm going to be positive. That's great. But then you need to change your diet.
Yes.
Okay. That's my opinion. Change your diet and stop eating the crap and stop doing this if you have any disease. But if you're really looking to beat it, in the end, stay positive. I mean, and that's do it. And then we all have challenges and all that kind of stuff. But, I always tell people the most important thing in life, this is just my personal opinion. Most important thing in life is your relationship with God, and making sure you know him and he knows you. And number 2 is your health. And so, well, what about my family? It was like, how can you take care of your family if you're not healthy?
Exactly.
You become a liability. You need to be an asset. They always tell you, like, the plane's going down, and put on the oxygen mask, and then put yours on first, and then do your kids or grandma or whoever next to you, or the old, because if you're trying to help your kid and then you pass out, well, you're both
then who's helping?
Yeah. So you take care of yourself, and then you can help your friends and your family, and you can be the rock, and you can be the one in the family or the friends or whatever. They're always going out.
Plus, you're setting a good example.
Yeah. Yeah. You're setting a good example. That's exactly right. So take care of yourself, take care of your health, and then you can, always help everybody around you and be at your best. We're talking about retirement. I mean, it's like, I don't know what I'd do with myself if we retired. Well, you can go down to Florida and be on the beach. Okay. The beach would last. I've been on the beach many, many times.
Not for me.
That would last a day, or you could go hiking. Well, I love to hike. I was out in up at Santa Fe, New Mexico. Man, you want to talk about hiking? Wow, they got to try. But I mean, you go out there all day long and do that. But I mean, I don't want to retire to go hike.
No.
I want to keep telling people like about health and build my brand and show people stuff. I'm the largest importer of chlorella and spirulina in the U.S. and from Taiwan. I get the best from Taiwan. You can get it from a few different places in the world, but Taiwan's the best. And, you know, I always tell people, hey, I started out in my basement. I just kept going and going and going and refusing to stop and just, you know, day in and day out.
I'm amazed by everything that you mentioned because I had no idea about, chlorella and spirulina.
Yeah, spirulina, same. It grows in like a spiral.
Okay.
That's how you know.
Silver, gold. It's like, what the heck? I had no idea. And which means that I need to, because most of these are supplements, but you said some of the stuff you can add to your meals. And this is something I definitely need to look into now.
Yeah. You take the powder. I mean, they make, chocolate cake and then they put a blue frosting and it's a spirulina. I don't do it that way, but it's a beautiful color.
Interesting.
You know, and they take and then there's spirulina. So spirulina is a kind of a blue-green algae. Chlorella is more green, more grassy. You know, I think chlorella is a little more powerful.
Well,
overall.
So apparently I've been eating the wrong grass because I've been using matcha.
Oh, matcha is great.
Okay.
Matcha is fantastic. Don't stop that. I like matcha.
What about moringa?
Moringa is amazing. I got some right here.
Okay.
Moringa is amazing stuff. I mean, that's another one. See, but they're way down. They're nothing compared to spirulina and chlorella. So I take moringa almost every single day. Matcha is fantastic stuff.
Bee pollen?
A lot of antioxidants in matcha tea. It's been around. It came out about 15 years ago. I mean, it's always been there.
Yeah.
But it got really popular. You know, I go to the expos, Natural Products Expo, and like matcha, it was everywhere. So that became real popular. But so wheatgrass juice, that's great.
Yeah.
You know, get one of those. Well, I love that. It's fresh. You know, I don't like the frozen stuff, although that's okay. You can get a little frozen cubes. But you go into Jamba Juice and get one of those.
Mm-hmm.
They'll grind that out. Or, you know, of course, it's grass. And, you know, we always talk about wheatgrass. There's like 30,000 different types of grass.
Yeah.
And you can eat all those grasses. You can eat the grass in your front yard.
It's amazing the stuff that grows out of the earth, which you can eat.
Yeah. Well, there's a guy that I used to know, and I still know him, Peter Ragnar. And he was like, he would tell people like, okay, you're in New York City and now you have a breakdown. There's no food. He goes, there's food everywhere in New York City. It's growing out of the cracks. It's growing out of the cracks of the sidewalks. It's not the kind of stuff you're going to think, oh, there's dinner, you know, but it's there, you know? So if you had a forage in an emergency, right? You know, there's no food and, you know, every big city has got about 3 days of food that before a supply of 3 days before if the trucks stop running, you're gonna that big city, especially I used to live in New York, and so that's an island.
Yeah.
So they don't, you know, the trucks got to come in every day to because you know there's no farms on Manhattan.
No.
On Manhattan. I can put, you know, wasn't many years ago, but you got Central Park, but you could go up to Central Park and eat all the grass, you know. Yeah, you don't want to get the stuff that's been sprayed with chemicals.
Or where the horse went.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Then again, I don't know. That's probably healthier for you than where they sprayed the chemicals.
Yeah. Well, it's healthier than the McDonald's. I give you that.
Yeah. That's one thing I do not miss because when I used to do sales, I was on the road all the time, always eating fast food.
Yeah.
I do not miss it whatsoever.
Yeah.
And best thing I did was give it up.
Yeah. It's another thing. I grew up on that. McDonald's was a different kind of thing back then.
Yeah.
We had other places. We had Burger Chef and Hamburger Heaven. And there's always that, you know, it was a little better food, but I mean, what these places have turned into now, these fast food places, you know, and I always tell people, know the source of your food.
Yes.
Okay. And if you think you know when you buy that, I don't eat almost nothing out of a box or a jar or a can. And if you think these days, especially if you think you know what's in that box pizza or that can or whatever soup or whatever, you really don't know. It might be okay. But it's been processed foods put into a can, a jar or whatever. It might be okay. It might be organic. I'd go for more of the organic, but know the source of your food.
Yeah.
Even the spirulina and chlorella. I mean, don't get your stuff from China because they're messy. I've been over there and I've seen it. They don't produce a good product. Taiwan's got the best. India's not bad for spirulina. India's pretty good. It's grown in kind of in Hawaii. Spirulina is pretty expensive because you don't really need to get it from Hawaii. They grow it a little bit in California. It's just too expensive to really grow. But Taiwan's got the best. But I've been there to the plants. I've been to the companies. I know them personally. I know how they grow it, and I know, like, I've done videos and all that. So I know the source of my food and know where your food's coming from. And don't go down to your chicken joint and think you get your chicken burger and think you know what's in that chicken burger.
Nope.
I think it's Chick-fil-A. There's like 52 ingredients in that chicken. Well, what 52? I thought it was chicken. Well, they got 52 ingredients. What are all the ingredients, So,
well, look how many of them are, you go to the grocery store to buy a chicken, always look to see how, and it'll tell you, inject it with a saline solution.
Yeah.
It's like, why?
Yeah.
What are you hiding from?
What's going on there?
Yeah.
And you see the videos of how they're injecting them with things. And,
Yep.
well, that's to keep them fresh. What I tell people, I'm kind of pretty much vegan, but I tell people, you know what? Go to your local farmer.
Yes.
And buy your meat. And that's where I've got a list of them, right? Mm-hmm. And they're in the area. You see them at the farmers markets, but that this guy, you know him, the Schaefers, the Millers, whoever, the Conklins, and they know this farm. And there's a guy in my church. He's got the, he does the beef and the chicken and the eggs. And I don't eat eggs anymore. My wife does, but I mean, I go get the farm fresh eggs from somebody in the country. And you look at that yolk, it's like orange. Yes. And then you look at the stuff in the store, it's not orange. It's kind of yellow,
I mean, you're going to pay more money if you get it from somebody local, but it's worth it, and where it's coming from.
Right. Know the source. Know these people, and and of course it's going to cost a little more. Yeah. Okay. What's don't put a price on your health.
Thank you for saying that. I tell that to people all the time. You cannot put a price on your health. That's why when you talk to people, well, it costs too much money to eat healthy. Does it really? No, it doesn't. You'll be here longer.
Yeah. And, we both know you can't take it with you.
No.
And you can't take it with you. All your wealth. Yeah. And not to mention you're saving money, but it's the quickest way to disease. Yeah. And like ionized water. I mean, I'd rather go to the bathroom 1,000 times than have to go to the doctor once. And that's the healthiest thing you can do is keep your body hydrated. Yes. That's what you want. And so if you spent some money on a water ionizer, I mean, come on. I mean, this is it takes water from here and changes it into a powerful antioxidant that's alkaline, that is detoxifying and hydrating. I mean, don't worry about the pennies. Okay. Mm-hmm. Worry about what you're going to put into your body. And that's a good example. They got hydrogen water now. That's another whole different show we could do on hydrogen water. But because that's one of the most important, hydrogen, the smallest molecule, first molecule on the periodic table, and one of the most needed nutrients by the body is hydrogen. So we've kind of figured that out. I mean, I'm telling you, we know so much more, and we have access, like you were saying, moringa. I mean, moringa, I hadn't heard of moringa till 8 years ago, 10 years maybe. And in India, they're just eating it off of this tree leaf. and they're just eating it on their way to school, and they just all eat this moringa all the time, so it's common to them, but we don't have moringa trees, so we never heard of that. And so, that's why you really see, we just don't grow up on that. And, the idea of foraging and going out on your hikes and saying, oh, well, here's a little berry. And you got to know what you're doing. You don't want to grab the wrong thing.
No.
But it can make you quite ill. But one of my friends, he's big into hiking and out in New Mexico. I told you, Santa Fe. And, he knows there, go get that cactus. Yeah. Okay. Eat that one, eat this little thing over here. We all know about this. We know about this berry from this tree. And so he knows which ones to take and which ones not. But, you get these experts. So, but anyway, I mean, I go out and get lamb's quarter. Now, if you look up lamb's quarter, you'll see that stuff. And that's another weed. And like dandelions, a weed. I wait all year. Dandelion season. Dandelion's fantastic. I buy the leaves during the winter.
Yeah.
I mean, they're so cheap. They get them in the store. What do people do with that? Usually they cook them. I just put them in my salads. But they were brought here by the Dutch as a food. And they just ended up spreading all over the United States. They're like, so they're like a weed. Well, they're like a weed, but I mean, And another one is you look it up, lamb's quarter. Lamb's quarter is super healthy food. And that kind of likes to grow in areas that have been disturbed. Like, in other words, maybe you fix some of your sidewalk, or you had to do something in your yard. You'll see these little things popping up, and they'll get big, and everything. But I'm telling you, man, and they kind of look white in the center. Well, that's all this calcium. So you take it off. There's you got to make sure you go look it up if you don't know what it is. Lamb's quarter, but it's just a good example. You're going to find that in your yard. I've seen it all.
I think I had that in my yard.
Yeah, it's it's like almost dandelion. It's just people don't notice it, and but like it likes disturbed soil. So in other words, you did some construction or you built something. It likes these areas that doesn't have competition, but it'll show up in your garden.
Interesting.
Another one is purslane. Go look that up. Purslane, that's mentioned in the Bible, but that one is this little kind of fatty crawly thing, or whatever you want to call it. Kind of crawls on the ground and grows on the ground all over the place. There's a couple of ones that look just like it. They're okay, but purslane, you go look it up. It's a fatter one. That is super healthy. It's got the fatty acids in it. And you'll see it. I got some out front of my store now. We got a nice garden in front of my store. My secretaries helped me put that in. And you just see this purslane all over the place. And it just comes, it's kind of got if you get it in your hands, you feel it kind of gets oily because it's got huge amounts of fat. But that's another one. That stuff is all over the place. And so there's
amazing what we can find in our yards that we can
in our yards and just right outside the door. And to really, to help us, like I'm always going out and getting dandelion greens in my yard and bringing them in and put them in my salad. There it is. I don't spray my yard with anything. So there it is, fresh, organic dandelion greens. I didn't cultivate it, but, it's just out there wild. And
I had an old neighbor that used to do that all the time. Would pick the dandelions, but he used it to make dandelion wine.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's one of the most common things. I had one guy I grew up with. His father was always making the dandelion wine.
Yeah.
And I don't know what I can't say I've had it.
I've never tried it.
I don't know if it's the taste or whatever, but it's pretty common. Yeah.
I don't know if I don't want to say I'll never try it, because if somebody offers it to me, I would try it.
Yeah.
You don't know if you're going to like it unless you try it.
I'm sure it's pretty drinkable.
Yeah.
I'm a wine guy. I used to be a beer guy, but I'm more of I like a white wine, so I keep it light. I might have a glass, I don't usually have two. Maybe some sparkling wine type of thing, but that's about it. So I don't really, you got to stay away from the hard liquors, especially when you get older. Watch that stuff. My friend's not brandy. I'll think of it. It's kind of a whiskey.
Oh, bourbon.
And bourbon.
Yeah,
he's an expert in the bourbon. He's got 120 bottles of bourbon. he's got this one and that one and
Yeah.
this one. And a lot of them, he goes, I'll never touch this section. This is I don't know why, but he wants this. He loves this stuff. And he's an expert, on a rye whiskey or this whiskey.
Yep.
So, but anyway, that can be a little hard on the liver, but yeah, he's a
That's
real.
why you're not supposed to drink it a lot. Because I'm actually a bourbon steward, and
yeah.
I'll only if I have any, maybe on a Friday night or a Saturday night, like a 2-finger pour, and that's it.
Yeah, that's what he does.
Yeah,
and he's always got the notes.
Oh yeah,
got this note and that note. And
yep.
One of his friends come over. That sometimes they drink, and they don't sit there and drink too much. But he's like, "Well, I taste vanilla. I taste berries." So.
And the funny thing is, because I used to drink beer like it was water. It was crazy. But when I got into bourbon, I found out that like a 2-ounce pour would take me an hour to drink.
Yeah.
Because I'm just, it's the small, and you're smelling it just like a wine.
Yeah.
And you just take your time.
Yeah.
And it tastes so good. But anyways, that's a whole nother podcast. Dr. Bob, something very important.
Yeah.
Tell everybody your website, how they can get in touch with you and find your stuff.
Well, it's drbobmccauley.com, DRBOBMCCAULEY, drbobmccauley.com. All my books are on Amazon. You can get them on my website, but they're on Amazon. You look up Bob McCauley, ND. Naturopathic Digest ND. Most of them are on Audible, so you could listen to my books.
Good.
I read them in my own voice. I'm always trying to reach out to people. I'm on Instagram, same thing, drbobmccauley.com. Instagram, I'm on Facebook and all those. But again, X, I'm on X.
Right.
It's fun. Just you look up Dr. Bob McCauley, it'll come up.
They'll find you.
Yeah, they'll find me. I'm always trying to. That's what these Instagram young people today, these young people, they're on Instagram. I mean, I'm a big YouTube guy. So I've got probably 550, 600 videos by now on YouTube. So
right.
I've been doing that for many, many years. So I'm big on YouTube, and I try to get as many, videos on there and shorts and all that. And then I'm working to get on TikTok, because that's another one. They're all on TikTok. And they're all on Instagram, and at least I'm getting them away from the garbage.
Yes.
Maybe they can see something healthy, and they might subscribe to me and go, "Yeah, okay, here's another good tip." I mean, that's how you learn.
Yeah, exactly.
Just one last thing I'll tell people: health is a habit, not an event. You got to be day in, day out.
Yes.
Make it part of your lifestyle. That's how I became healthy. I made it part of my lifestyle. It can't happen on Wednesday after 4. It has to be daily.
Yes.
It has to be day in and day out. And then you just get it, you get used to it. And then pretty soon, you go and eat down to one of the fast food joints, and you have a burger or something fried or what, and you go, I don't feel so good, and your body telling you something, I don't like this. You have a nice big salad, or you eat some mangoes, or you eat some, and your body says, hey, that's pretty good. And your body will become, it knows everything.
Your body will love you more.
Yeah, it will. And it tells you if you listen to it.
Yes.
But people, it's like water. People your body is crying out for water, and all the time. Every metaphysical process of our body depends on water, and the right kind of water. A lot of people say water is water. It's not.
No.
There's many different types of water, but it's this habit. So I get up in the morning, big tall glass of water. I've been doing it.
Should be the first thing you drink in the morning.
Yeah. Get up. You want water. It's the best time it'll wake you up.
Yeah.
To hydrate your brain. You've been sitting there for 8 hours or laying there sleeping. And so you're totally dehydrated, and it'll get the whole thing moving, and you'll feel it wakes you up, and it's that healthy, thing that everybody needs. Everybody needs that. And so, but it's all habits.
Yeah.
And like I don't eat till noon. That's a habit. I've been doing that for 20 years now. And, I just feel better.
Right.
I might, sometimes, hey, everybody's over. We're going to go for breakfast. Go for breakfast. But I mean, it's for me, the daily habit is this. But health is a habit.
Yeah.
You get into doing it, and then you, like we all do, you stray away from it, and your body says, "Hey, okay, I can tolerate that."
Got to get back into the routine.
Yeah, don't go too far here. But anyway, listen, I really appreciate you having me on there, Rich. And
it was my pleasure. I learned a lot, but I need you to pick a question, the final question. So I need you to pick a number between 1 and 5.
1 and 5. I'm going to go with 5.
Number 5. All right. Now I need you to pick a number. I'm going to get to 5 block first. Now I need you to pick a number between 81 and 100.
99.
99. You know what this in a way goes with what we've been talking about. If you could eliminate one source of stress from your life, what would it be?
One source of stress, worrying about anything. There's a great saint, I think he's Catholic, Padre Pio, and he said, his big thing, pray, hope, and don't worry. Don't worry. You're not going to change. You're worrying. My mother used to say that. Worry. She spoke French.
Yeah.
Spoke English. But worry pa means no, don't worry. Worry pa. So stop worrying. Just don't. And that's the stress, because you can't do anything about it. You can plan, you can strategize. That's one thing. But worrying about something, fretting, what can you do about that? And then I guess number 2, stop driving, because that's pretty stressful.
And I guarantee you that woman you were talking about, Hiawatha, I bet she didn't worry about anything.
Yeah, she didn't. She never, she was just a pearl.
Yeah.
Everybody loved her. She came in one day on her birthday. She goes, I'm 85 years today. And I took a picture of her and I put it on Facebook. And I mean, it got like 1,000 likes. And I'm like, I usually get like 20,
right?
30. And I'm like, who is this woman? She's had this energy, this. She was always smiling, come in, and I can't believe Dr. Bob, and he's going to help me with this and this and this. So she was just the center. Yeah. Don't worry, because you can't change that.
Yeah.
That's number 1. So that's what I got.
Sounds good to me. Dr. Bob, I want to thank you so much. It's been an honor. And God, those of you listening, I hope you got something out of this, and definitely change your lifestyle. Look into his website, because I was blown away. I mean, I thought I was eating healthy. Well, I am eating healthier, but now I know there's so many more things that I need to add as well, especially silver. I'm going to eat silver. Wow. Dr. Bob, thanks a lot.
Some gold.
Gold and platinum.
And platinum.
Coming to Harford County, Maryland this fall, the Healing Arts and Music Festival. Join us October 2nd and 3rd at Friendship Park in Abingdon for 2 unforgettable days of live music, interactive art, wellness experiences, workshops, vendors, food trucks, and community connection. Bring your friends and family and experience the energy, creativity, and magic for yourself. For more information, visit healingartsandmusic.com.